There's also the Vulcan Shuttle with docking port. You can put in Scotty and Spock and Dr. McCoy. Bridge, Shuttle, and action figures each sold separately.
Wow, the crew goes back and forth.
Vulcan Shuttle, USS Enterprise Bridge, and figures, all sold separately by Mego.
Hey folks, welcome to another installment of Mego Museum's Vintage Mego. We had a lot of fun a couple of weeks back doing the canceled Mego Superheroes video, and it was obviously the most popular thing we've ever done, so I thought I would follow up with a piece on Star Trek. Mego launched the Star Trek line in 1975, and it was an instant smash hit, provoking 2 more years of toys, winding down in 1978. During those 3 iconic years, Mego produced some very hot and collectible toys that we are still talking about to this day. But like any toy line, a lot of things get pitched or left along the wayside. I would like to take a minute and thank Vinnie Baiera, former Mego R&D employee, and the person who really provided a great deal of this information. Vinnie worked at Mego during the golden years and was a young person interested in things such as Star Trek and Planet of the Apes, and his fandom shone through in some of the things he did. He is most famous for leaving his initials in the Mego Starsky and Hutch package, but his archive of photography and notes and his generosity to share them with the Mego Museum is the reason I'm even able to do this list. So let's look at the final frontier of Mego Star Trek items, shall we? Number 1 is the Vulcan Explorer. This was described to us by Vinnie Baiera as a battery-powered vehicle which could always right itself on its treads. It could not be flipped over. I think it held a figure in the prone position. I was really fascinated with hearing about the Vulcan Explorer and what it was. It apparently did not make it to Toy Fair 1977, but a working mock-up was created by Mego R&D. This inspired our own Mego Museum creator Robyn to create a concept 3D drawing of it, which we showed to Baiera, and he said, "You've got it, that's exactly what it looked like." It's a really interesting idea, a battery-operated vehicle for the Star Trek figures. I'm not sure why it didn't make it to market. Perhaps it's cost, or perhaps they just didn't think it was going to be feasible. Whatever it is, we missed out on Mr. Spock having a sweet ride. Star Trek science kits were an idea introduced in 1977 that did actually make it into the catalog. Vinnie Baiera explained them as Star Trek science kits were a series of science-based learning toys that were designed to look as if they were used by the crew of the USS Enterprise, such as a microscope, telescope, solar-powered motor, etc. This is a really interesting way to kind of get into the educational toys market with a license, being Star Trek, which would have been popular with kids who were science-minded. It seems like it could have been a slam dunk, but unfortunately it never got past the prototype stage. Some of the stuff from Baiera's archive that he lent us even showed a Star Trek clock that Mego was working with. So there were some really neat ideas floating around here, but unfortunately they didn't come to fruition, so we can't chase these things that probably would be quite rare today. When the first Star Trek movie came out, Mego released a line of 12-inch dolls that included 2 alien characters in Klingon and Arcturian. However, when we sat down with the sculptor of Klingon and Arcturian, Ken Scheller, he revealed to us that Mego actually commissioned 4 aliens from him, and the other 2, Rigelian and Zaranite, were sadly shelved by Mego. Perhaps they were part of a planned second wave. Were Star Trek the Motion Picture figures a big hit like Mego had hoped? We'll never know, and unfortunately, there is no known photographic evidence of these extra characters. We don't know what the 12-inch figures look like, but I bet you they looked pretty good. Sticking with the Star Trek the Motion Picture theme, we have the Vulcan Shuttle playset, a polystyrene vehicle that would have connected to the Enterprise bridge. It's not sure why this didn't get made. The bridge did make it into the 1980 J.C. Penney catalog, thus justifying its existence, while as the shuttle did not. Perhaps it was planned for a second wave. There are some people who swear they saw this as a kid, but after this many years, none have surfaced. So personally, I've even lost hope of finding this in a foreign market. I think basically it just got abandoned somewhere along the line, perhaps due to lack of interest. And it is a little lacking in its design. It's a little too simple with no action features, even though I totally would have wanted it as a kid and even more as an adult collector now. 3 3/4-inch Star Trek. In his comprehensive notes and recollections, Vinnie Baiera did mention to us that he was constantly pushing for a comic action heroes style Star Trek set so he could create different environments that, would be lower cost than for the 8-inch figures. I don't know how far this went. We don't have any kind of samples, although there were apparently mock-ups. Some people do conjecture that the Mission to Gamma 6 playset originally started out as a 3 3/4-inch concept. That has a little credence because Mego did try to sell it as a Buck Rogers playset just a couple years later. Unfortunately, we may never know if that's an accurate theory. Saving the best for last, we have the Deluxe Bridge playset. This was developed in 1977 by Mego R&D crew. Vinnie Baiera did mention that the costing on this was so high, it forced him to explore a 3 3/4-inch line that we previously mentioned. Some of the features on the Deluxe Bridge playset included a working elevator that took you to Dr. McCoy's sick bay. Other features included a very screen-accurate looking bridge and console display. It's funny that a high cost would deter this when you consider just a few years later in the 80s, it was all about big dollar playsets for Christmas. It's a shame this never got made, as I'm sure it would be high on everybody's list and a tough thing to track down. So tell me, Mego fans, which one of these Trek pieces do you wish was made? For me personally, I wish it was the 3 3/4-inch Trek line. I really wish there was something to see in that. It's just one of those things I adore. Please let me know in the comments below, or you can hit me up at Twitter at Mego Museum. We have a thriving Facebook concern called Megomania, and of course a Mego Museum page on Facebook, and I'll put the links down below. And of course, you can always find us at megomuseum.com. Thanks as always for watching. If you're new to this, I hope you'll consider hitting like and subscribe. Until next time, take care and have fun.